Hello everybody, I am that one guy, and today I'm going to be talking about a very interesting build I found for Banshee. Well, not actually specifically the build, more the mod itself, the Augment mod Sonic Fracture. Now, the mod Sonic Fracture just essentially use Sonic Boom on an enemy and it will strip armor. It will strip 70% of armor for a certain amount of time. Thing is this scales with two things. It scales with duration, for one, and it scales with power strength for another. With extra duration, the effect will last longer, and with extra power strength, it will strip more armor. At base, it's only 70% of armor, which is significant, but I don't think it's enough. So I did some testing to find out the perfect amount of power strength, and found it was 145% power strength to remove all armor. Observe. See, he now has no armor. The poor guy. He had no armor, and I just pretty much shot him with the Tigris in the back. Didn't kill him because it wasn't a headshot, but, you know, I'm lazy and I'm not going to wait on him, so. In any event, this mod, I find it interesting because I've seen absolutely nothing on this mod, and I've only heard about it from one person. So I decided I would show it off to you all. And that was just... It'll work with higher level enemies as well, that's the thing. Like, it's 100% of armor if you have 145% power strength. That is... It's extremely significant. They still have really high health, but they just don't have the armor they had anymore. So, you know, it's just... Go and play around with it. It's an interesting mod. I mean, if you want to remove armor without having to resort to corrosive procs and corrosive projection, and I believe there's a couple of other warframes that strip armor, then you can use it instead. Now, as far as silence goes, Savage Silence, that was the other mod I was going to talk about. I can see a use for it, certainly, just like I can see a use for Excalibur's Radiant Finish, but personally, I don't find much use for them. If I was going to use either of those, I would just use Covert Lethality on a dagger or something, and then we'd go from there. Excalibur, as a matter of fact, I mostly use him for a Chromatic Blade build, but we'll get into that we'll get into that maybe in a later video. As far as Banshee's other two augments, well, actually, as far as silence goes, before we get into the other two augments, as far as silence goes, I can say this. Use it with negative range. That way it will trigger. You can constantly keep triggering it without having to worry about an enemy, you know, having to go way out of the range to trigger it again. See? He's staggered, but it doesn't take very much to get out of the range and let him get out of the stagger. Whereas if I went with a really high range build, it would probably take some time. Oh, well, something's fucked up. It wasn't letting me get the finisher in. Anyways, normally it'll let you get the finisher in, but... Why is it not letting me do the finisher? Anyways, with, as far as that goes, with Silence and Savage Silence, I can see a use... somewhat. I don't want to say I can entirely see a use for Savage Silence. I see some amount of a use, but I say I wouldn't use it. That's not to say you couldn't or shouldn't use it. You can, and you probably should, because it is an interesting enough mod, but I personally am not going to use it at all. Granted, my opinions barely matter to me, so I don't see why they should matter to you at all, but, you know. Anyways, as far as the other two mods, Resonance and Resonating Quake, Resonance is just for sonar, and it's just to add on extra weak points, and it can be useful if you can keep the killing up, if you can kill quickly and accurately. Eventually you'll get to enemies that are absolutely covered in the weak points, so you can just shoot and get the very high damage numbers. Now, as far as Resonating Quake goes, personally, if you're going past... like the mid-levels, like 40s and 50s, then you're kind of starting to push Resonating Quake as far as being a map wipe, and you're starting to push into the area of crowd control and area denial. And personally, I think that's fine. Resonating Quake, if you're using it for higher levels, that's kind of where it's going to sit. But I think that's kind of why people don't like it. But personally, it's useful. I see it as being useful, and I will continue to use it. I'll allow. I don't mind other people using it. I'll say that people should use it if they want to, because honestly, it kind of makes getting experience a lot faster. So personally, not a big deal to me, but I can certainly see why people don't like it. I mean, I'll give you that, but you know, in any event, this was the main point of this video, was this. I'll say this, you can take that build if you want. You can take this build and optimize it and, everything with it. I don't really care. And I actually wouldn't mind. I mean, but this is more of showing it off, because that's, again, all you need. All you need is 145 power strength and sonic fracture, and you will strip 100% of armor. And that makes enemies far more vulnerable than they ever would be. I need to test it out and see if it would work alongside a Resonance Banshee, if that would be more effective, though. Honestly, I think it would be kind of pointless to bring both of them along. I would rather see if which one would be considered more effective, though that's more of a theory kind of thing. It's not theory as in, like, testing it and stuff. It's more theory as in uh like, kind of, this one would be better for this reason, or this one is better for this reason. That kind of stuff. In any event, I know I've kind of probably bored you all to death with talking, but I thought it would be interesting to show you that this kind of thing, that I thought it'd be interesting to show you a mod that I'm sure not a lot of people use, let alone know about. So I just wanted to show off this mod and show you that it can actually be extremely powerful. And also recommend that you go up, make a build for it, and play around with it yourself, and then tell people you know about it and all that. As far as uh, any of that, you can take the build I used, but honestly, I would say make a better one, because that one is not all that good, if you ask me. It could be far better. I mean, like, far, far better. But in any event, I gotta say, as always, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, the standard YouTube stuff. And as always, thanks for watching.